With a confirmed start date of the 22nd of January, when contractors will arrive to demolish our old workshop, Sunday the 7th of January was allocated for transferring some of our coaches across to Willow Lawn for storage in the containers that had previously been delivered. Two of our volunteers can be seen here constructing ramps for the coaches to ride up and into the containers themselves. Most of the team worked on this for the whole morning, and this was completed by around 12 o'clock.
No, that's brilliant. Yeah. We got enough spare, haven't we? Probably, yeah. No, excellent.
Right, so you're looking for a job, Steve? Yeah. Would you mind?
One of the open coaches was transferred over with the works train earlier on in the morning, which you can see there on the right. On the left now, Graham arrives with more coaches, and this brings the total number to 6, which will be stored in the containers.
Yeah. You leave a block down there?
Yeah, I think.
Right.
Okay, that's blocked.
Right, there you go. So where's the other bit of the train? Behind these containers?
Mm-hmm. By around 1:30 in the afternoon, 3 coaches had been loaded into the first container. Attention then turned to the second container, where trap panels had to be moved and adjusted first, and the ramp set up for a second time.
you just put, tighten a choice selection.
Yeah, they're every second sleep.
We go right down the back.
Right down the back.
Right, anywhere there. Now,
Fingers out.
yeah. There we go. We just pop it down on the container at the moment.
Yes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're there.
To ensure the vehicles remained in a reasonable condition whilst in store, they were covered over with dust sheets. This was mainly to protect them from the aforementioned dust and also condensation which may form inside the containers.
Yeah, might as well.
The final two vehicles to be pushed in for storage were a rail-mounted generator and an air compressor. These were left at the front so that we could gain access to them and get them out if we needed them during the workshop project. Morning guys, it's the 10th of January. In the previous part of this video already you've seen us putting the tracks into the containers and getting the coaches in there. Now it's going to focus on the actual project in hand. Behind me you can see our old workshop. It's a Nissan hut style building. I'll take you around it, just show you what the problems are and why we're replacing it. We'll also have a look inside. It's quite something to see when it's all empty. But we'll show you what all the fuss is about and why it needs replacing and some of the faults and things that need looking at. So we'll take you around and do that now. One of the first problems we found with this shed, being that it's well over 20-30 years old, is that you can see the sealant between the corrugated joints is all corroded. It's gone hard and actually introduces water inside, so when it rains you do get water dripping in from outside, and that obviously goes on all our coaches and our locos. It's not good. So first things first is the roof structure needs to be replaced. So that's the first thing. Another issue we have over the whole site is slight subsidence over the years. The building has moved a bit. We're now in front of the building. You can see it's primarily a 3-row building, but they're quite close together. The new building will be longer and wider, and due to one of the subsidence I can show you here is this door gets caught like that. So you can see it's not quite open enough to get locos and stuff in there because it fouls the track. So we're in the workshop now inside. If you look around, you can see we've emptied it out over the last few days, so it's completely empty. Apart from those machines at the back, which the demolition contractors are contracted to take out, and very soon power will be disconnected from in here. Going back to the sides, you can see the cracks in the floor here, and this one extends all the way up the line of the shed and actually across the shed, and it's actually making the concrete break in half slowly over time. So when we have a new slab put down, it'll be with reinforced steel, and it'll be nice and solid for us. We're in the pit now. This is where we used to do all our underframe work for all the locos and oil changes. It's not waterproof. There was a crack in the floor. You can see the brick walls that weren't lined, so this used to fill up with water all the time, and we had to pump it out every time we wanted to use it. So this will be replaced with a brand new pit that was sealed from all groundwater. This crack in here is the actual worst one. It goes right from one side of the shed to the other. The only thing holding it in place really are the rails, but otherwise the concrete's cracked through. So there's actually 3 cracks in the whole shed. So the shed is like that, and then like that. So once we have a new slab in, it'll all be level. It'll probably be slightly lower in alignment than this one, but that is just some of the reasons why we're replacing this shed. Also because it looks quite empty now, but when it's all filled up with, there was racking all down the sides, there was locos in here, you couldn't actually work in here with everything in there, so you had to take all the locos out just to give yourself some room to work. So when we have a new shed, it'll be a lot wider, a lot longer, and it'll be a square building, which means you can actually get things over height-wise in here, because you couldn't get anything on that road over there due to the fact that the shape of the roof curved in, so only low side will be able to get in there. This is a 3-row shed, but it will become a 2-row shed, but with a lot more space. Here's a better illustration of what we were talking about outside with the roof leaks. You can see where all the water's run down from the joint inside and creates that sort of lime-scaly feel, so hopefully that'll be eliminated in the new workshop. So we're now on the other side of the shed, in the woods sort of part of it. It's only a little bit of scrub land between the old shed and the fence. As you can see, it's all full of dead wood and scrub land that's really not much to talk about. When the new shed's put in, that'll be taken up. A lot of that will go and they'll be taken up with a side extension to create room for a machine workshop that's on the side. So all that will probably go, and you'll see the building right up to the fence almost. One final thing that was removed actually in quite a few months in advance of the workshop project, mainly when we got a new fuel tank the other side of the railway, was the pad I'm standing on was the actual fuel pump, and next to it was the old fuel tank. That sat here for a good number of years, but that was getting old, so we got a new fuel pump and fuel tank. The housing that the fuel pump was in actually stayed for a while as an oil store, but a couple of months ago that was even got rid of, so we had to leave it relatively clear for the contractors to come in and do the main demolition work.
The 14th of January was earmarked for track removal and other ancillary jobs to leave the site in an appropriate state for the contractors to move in. The first job of the day was to shunt the trainload of sleepers that had been delivered in the week before and unload them for use later in the project. Once again, a machine was hired from a local plant hire firm to save time and effort unloading everything by hand. The team then moved up to Fireman's Crossing to retrieve some 40-foot rails that were left over from the 2017 double track project. The remainder of the day was spent cutting up track and getting other items of rubbish or scrap for transfer into waste skips at Willow Lawn Station. 2 sets of points, however, were saved for future use.